Welcome to high school football in Kansas City, Missouri on a lovely autumn evening. We are at Center High School in Yellow Jacket Stadium as the Center Yellow Jackets welcome in the Excelsior Springs Tigers. With Andy Pollard, I'm Stephen Davis. Andy, we've got a matchup of two teams who are going to run option football tonight. We're going to get a lot of ground and pound. We're going to get some speed to the edges. But thankfully for both these teams in this COVID-19 embraced season, we're playing football tonight, which for Excelsior Springs is a new oddity, and at Center High School, where the volleyball season has already been canceled, is great news as well.
Such an interesting start to the season for both teams. You know, Excelsior Springs going through a quarantine after their first game against Savannah. 11 starters quarantined for 2 weeks. It's almost like they're basically starting their season over beginning this week.
Excelsior Springs coming in with a 1-1 record. They went 7-4 a year ago for head coach Mark Fabian. Center High School, you see them right there in the home blue jerseys tonight, off to a 2-1 start for 12th-year head coach Brian DeLong. Won their first two ball games before an overtime loss at Oak Grove last week. What do you expect from this matchup tonight, Andy? We mentioned option football on both sides. These two schools don't play normally, though. There could be a feeling out process to start.
You're going to see a lot of, like you said, running the ball. Both teams, their bread and butter is the run. Excelsior Springs will execute the triple option quite a bit, and Center will use that hybrid wing set. Excelsior Springs, the key to their offense is that triple option. They'll use the option between the quarterback, the pitch, and the dive to get that center defense off their normal set. And then what they'll want to do on defense is contain that edge. Center's going to run that wing set and that jet motion, and they think if they can bust that jet sweep a few times, it really sets open the rest of their offense.
It's keys to victory for the Center Yellow Jackets. You see those. Control the game offensively, and then, hey, got to stop that triple option coming the other way.
That's going to be their biggest problem. Excelsior Springs known for that option. They run that dive quite a bit. They got a great big fullback who's going to really put a pounding, or hoping to really put a pounding on that center interior line.
Center will be kicking it off. Excelsior Springs in the road white uniforms will get the football first. Great to have you with us tonight on ESPN 3. Tonight's game, a production of LTN Global with a lot of legwork. In fact, almost all the legwork being done by students here at Center High School. This is a student-run, student-produced broadcast, and we couldn't be happier to be a part of it.
It's a great opportunity for these kids to get some real-time experience. Center has a great real-world learning program, and what better opportunity than running the camera and all the production equipment yourself.
Kick in the air, and we are off and rolling tonight as Excelsior Springs on the kickoff return. We'll have it out across the 20 to about the 23-yard line, and we'll get a look at this Tiger offense. We'll mention this a few times tonight, Andy, on both sides, but both these teams are very young, even by high school standards. Center maybe more so than Excelsior Springs, but even the Tigers, they'll only run a handful of seniors, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 tops at any one time out on the field.
Excelsior Springs coach Mark Fabian said 2 to 3 guys on their team have significant varsity experience.
You see the tight set, and that fullback in there, Amani Robinson, will get the bulk of the work. He gets it first tonight and powering across the 25 to the 27. And the ball came free late, but they have marked it down at the 27-yard line. Looks like a pickup of 4 for the junior fullback Robinson. We expect to see him get that ball a lot, and well, you feel for the fullback in an option offense. Even when they don't get it, they've got to carry out a fake and take a hit most plays.
Exactly. Big kid pounds it right up the middle. When he doesn't carry the ball, like you said, just gets beat up all night.
That snap comes loose, ball on the field. Yellow Jackets trying to dive on it, and they've got it. On the fumble recovery for Center, Omarion Heron-Johnson from his outside linebacker spot. I'm not sure the quarterback, Dacey Hall, ever got that snap cleanly, Andy.
Seemed like it hit right off his hands, went straight to the ground, and then Center pounces on it right away.
So great field position for the Yellow Jackets off the turnovers. They'll try to take advantage and get some early momentum in this game.
We'll see the center offense run kind of a hybrid wing set. They'll use that wing and slot, and they'll put them in motion quite a bit. They'll control the ball with the run. You'll see a lot of misdirection, and you'll also see a lot of jet motion, which will hopefully for them set up the interior ground.
And they are a young team, but their head coach, Brian DeLong, says they do have some talent. One of those talented guys is that man, a senior, Noah Ohanmu, and pitch on the first play to him. We're likely to call his name a lot tonight. He's one of the few kids that we're going to see playing both ways tonight. He's the starting fullback offensively for center and also starts at linebacker.
Another two-way player, a four-year letterman. Coach DeLong said Nosa has the potential to be a college linebacker, so maybe even a little better on the defensive side.
Pick up a 4 there on first down for Ohanmu. And one of the few seniors, one of only 5 seniors on the entire center football roster in 2020. This is Ohanmu again, powering. Look at the legs still churning, and should have a first down at the 10. Looks like it'll be first and goal for center.
Really good push on the right side of the offensive line. Guard and tackle work together. Make that hole big enough for Ohanmu to get through.
Spot this just outside the 10. I think they could get a first down maybe by a whisker, but essentially first and goal here for the Jackets. Looking to strike first in this ball game off the turnover. On a hole that didn't look very big, and Ohanmu manages, Andy, to get 3 yards out of it with a nice little jump cut.
He's going to just drive those legs, keep him driving after that first contact. I think we'll see quite a bit of yards after the first hit from him tonight.
It's a 3-4 defense on the other side for Excelsior Springs. I always feel like there might be a gap for the fullback in an option attack against a 3-man front if they can just find that right seam.
You know, it's really just got to read that offense. Here's the first time we see that jet.
And that one blown dead as they were trying to get it to Brian Kuby coming around on the sweep.
That jet motion, they'll use it a lot tonight, and what they want to do with that is they want to pull those linebackers to the side with the jet, and then when they continue to use that motion, what that'll do is hopefully open up the middle if those linebackers continue to follow that jet motion.
So back it up to the 12-yard line. It's a good-looking athlete at quarterback for center, number 1 there, sophomore Joseph Vick. He can throw it a little bit, and pretty good leader for being just a sophomore on this team. They bring QB in motion again. And that's Ohanmu. Nice little move to get it down inside the 10 to about the 6. That time a little while till he got that first contact.
You know, again, that right guard and right tackle have opened that right side of the line, pushing the defense back and giving Ohanmu the opportunity to get to the second level and break a tackle or use his agility to get around those linebackers.
So third down as they get the penalty yardage back on that carry. They'll spread things out a bit here. 2 true receivers as well as a slot off to the right with Vick in the pistol. They bring the motion to the right side. QB on the sweep, trying to get that corner turn and upended at the 5-yard line. Big-time hit coming over there on the edge from the Tigers. And it'll bring up fourth down and a decision for Coach DeLong now.
That's another great play by the Excelsior defense. When you see that jet motion come, the key is that outside linebacker has to stay home. He can't get sucked in by any of the fullback dive options. So staying home, he's able to make that stop.
Offense on the field for the Yellow Jackets. 4th and goal from the 4-yard line. Will they put it in the air? They will. Vick. Far side of the end zone. And incomplete. So a turnover on downs. Center unable to take advantage of the early turnover.
Looking to just change things up, you know, on fourth and goal. It looked like throwing that fade route into the corner of the end zone. They've got a couple of tall receivers. That one just didn't come down.
So nothing Excelsior has to give up after the turnover. No harm, no foul, but backed up now to their own 4-yard line. It's the second play where they had it that they fumbled. Possession number 2 now as they wait for this one to be deemed ready for play.
You know, if you're quarterback Daisy Hall, after that fumbled snap, you know, you're probably on the sideline in between series taking extra snaps. You never want to have that fumbled snap or fumbled exchange early in the game, because hopefully it's not going to stick with you, but sometimes those things do. So, but you at least have the opportunity on a semi-long drive by the center offense to take those snaps and kind of get your hands back ready for this next series.
About as tight an offensive set as you'll ever see at any level of football for the Tigers here, with Hall under center and handing it off. And Reiki Gant on the carry for Excelsior Springs.
Once you're in that goal line, when you're in that goal line set, almost basically a goal line set, but on the opposite end of the field, really you're just trying to get it out. The goal is not score a touchdown on this set of downs. The goal is get that first down, so then you have some more room to operate.
Move the chains, as they say. Hey, that formation reminded me of like something you'd see, to date ourselves, when we were kids in the NFL. Get a couple extra tight ends in there, go the offset split backs. Now they go back to their traditional double wing look with the fullback and give it to that dive man, and it's Robinson across the 10, near a first down, but it will be third down coming up.
Robinson, the junior, a big, talented kid. Looks like that traditional fullback. He led their team in rushing their first 2 games of the season, that win against Savannah and then that loss to Moberly last Saturday. He'll probably carry the ball a good 20 times tonight.
I think a lot of times we think running back, you think maybe a taller guy, but the traditional option fullback, you want a guy maybe who's about Robinson's height.
Anybody that can bruise it right up the middle.
They fake it to him this time. Hall with a nice job on the fake, breaks the tackle, and he's got a first down out just across the 20-yard line. Nice job by the junior quarterback, Daisy Hall, pulling that one from the fullback that time.
A good job on the option there. The linebackers for center bit in, sucked in just a little bit. That gave Hall the option to get to the outside and turn that corner just a little bit.
Hard to blame those linebackers. You see fullback, 3rd and 1. You think, oh, they're definitely going to give it to the fullback here, and then boom, quarterback around the edge.
The option should be the perfect offense if it's run exactly right.
Again, going behind the left guard, left tackle, Robinson for about 5 yards to the 27. We talk about the option. We see that nowadays, modern football, if you will, the run-pass option. You can fake a handoff, you can throw it. Quarterback might have another option to throw it, or if it's a Lamar Jackson type, to run it. Same deal here. It's a fullback dive, it's a quarterback run. You've got a pitch man. Maybe there's a pass option off of it. Good offenses have multiple things they can do.
And what you won't see from Excelsior Springs are designed quarterback draws. Coach Fabian said everything they run is all based off the option.
Robinson powering that pile forward. Great job to pick up the first down, gain of 6. He is tough to bring down. He's not going to get a ton of big gains, but he's going to get chunks like that a lot, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards on a touch.
Again, the size is just going to overtake that defensive line. If they can get any kind of push from the offensive line, he's easily going to get through that hole, and the second level is going to have to make the stops.
This time, nearly stood straight up, but still manages to get a couple yards. A couple center Yellow Jackets in on that hit defensively, including Dimitri Miller, one of the seniors for center.
Dimitri Miller, Randall Gillum also in that. He's a big, strong kid. One of the biggest defensive linemen you'll see, plays nose for center. Definitely gives that offensive line a little bit of a difficult time.
Again, trying to go through the middle of that center defense and only a couple yards. We'll try to get you a shot of Randall Gillum at some point tonight. That is a large man in there. The phrase "doesn't miss many meals" might apply to Randall Gillum. He's got some poundage on him.
He's one of those guys as an offensive lineman. When I played, I was a big man, but did not want to go against men that size.
The nightmare.
Exactly. How do you handle somebody like that? It's kind of like a Gilbert Williams, old when you think old Packers.
Big, low to the ground, hard to block. Little counter action this time, and the edge is open for Excelsior. It looks like a first down, pickup of 7 on the 3rd and 6th play as they got it around the edge that time. Good ball handling work, and on the carry, Tanner Phillips.
Well, I can tell you why they didn't go with the dive that play, because we were just talking about Randall Gillum. He pushed the center and guard a good 3 yards back into the backfield, and so the quarterback has to make the pitch or keep the ball on that play because there was nowhere to go up the middle.
When you see what Excelsior wants to do offensively, give it to Robinson, and then on the 2 third downs they've had, Andy, they change it up a little bit so far. Quarterback keeps it on 1, and this time the counter look getting it to Phillips, one of their seniors off the wing.
Well, they'll run that 2 quarterback set with Hall and with Chance Moreland. Both of them are quick quarterbacks. With Hall, the junior, and Moreland, the sophomore, I think we'll see a little bit more of Hall. He's kind of been their traditional starter, but he's not going to throw the ball that much, and so that's going to be their kind of third down play constantly is if that option or if that dive is not there, they'll use his speed around the edge if they can get to it.
I think it's a fault of all of us that are football fans these days. We hear the word quarterback now, and we think, who throws it the best? That's who you want as your quarterback, but coaches that run option offenses will tell you you just want a guy that can handle the football, a guy who can pull it, the guy who can read the defense. We don't need him to throw it. We might throw it not at all in a game if things are going really well, but you want a guy who can see the defense, read his keys, and then put that ball where it needs to be at a moment's notice. You need to have some quick hands, more like a middle infielder type in baseball.
It's really just you got to be the best decision maker if you're running the option.
Decision this time for Hall was to give it to Robinson, and well, sometimes the decision to give it to the fullback just means some punishment for the fullback. Only a yard there as 3 or 4 blue jerseys pushing back.
Again, Dimitri Miller, defensive end right there in the backfield on that play. Got a good push from his defensive end spot and able to come across the line to make that tackle.
Talk about Randall Gillum warm-ups. You see Gillum out there and you go, wow, that guy's 300-plus pounds probably. And you look next to him and you go, Dimitri Miller stands up and you go, wow, that guy's impressive physically too. There's some physicality on the center defensive line. They switch things up here. Hall pulling it. Nice read, and he's got some space inside the 40. Dacey Hall off to the races and gone. Touchdown, Excelsior Springs. Talk about decision-making. That one was 100% right.
Perfect time to pull on that dive option, and the pitch was there, but as you saw, that outside linebacker made a step towards the running back expecting the pitch. That gave Hall the opportunity to take that lane right down the sideline.
55 yards on the touchdown run for Hall, and once he got past that first wave of defense, it was a foot race, and he was not going to be caught. High snap as they tried for the point, now trying to throw for it, and it's picked off. Well, the extra point turned 2-point attempt goes awry.
Yeah, no pick 2 option in high school once that
unfortunately,
yeah, once that ball hits the ground or is picked up by the defense, that ends the play there.
But still a 6-0 lead for Excelsior Springs thanks to a 55-yard sprint around the edge from Dacey Hall. Hey, quarterbacks can still look like this in 2020. Get a nice fake, everybody bites, and then boom. He wasn't even looking to run that ball initially.
No, he was definitely going to pitch that ball, and then he saw the corner. It was actually the corner, not the outside linebacker, who was going towards the running back. He bit to the outside and gave him the opportunity to go in.
So not quite midway first quarter, Excelsior Springs is out 6-0 in this game.
Okay? This will keep that from disconnecting.
Well, and Excelsior Springs going onside with the kickoff, and I think they've got it. Their sideline is fired up.
Surprise onside kick in the first quarter. You don't see that often unless maybe you're Sean Payton in the second half of the Super Bowl to start that thing off. But
Hey, the analytics will tell you kick it onside every time, right?
Well, but it was. Now they've changed the rules for safety. No run up, no run up, and that basically gives the receiving team all the time in the world to try and catch the ball unless they're surprised and not set up for it.
Now you're better off onside kicking in a situation like this than when you have to late in the game, it seems like. So the Tigers get it right back. And that's Robinson picking up 4 yards on first down. Well, you get a 55-yard run, you get all excited for your offense, and they go right back, fullback for 4 yards.
Exactly. It's bread and butter is that fullback, Amani Robinson. They're going to hand the ball to him, I think, as many times as possible, especially if he's going to continue to get 3 or 4 yards of play. If you're looking at 2nd and 6 as opposed to 2nd and 8 or 9, why not go it every time?
Talk about the decision-making it requires for the quarterback. It also requires some good play calling by the coaches to figure out when do you throw that change up, put in that new wrinkle, and not have the fullback as the primary option on a play. As this time, again, 4 yards on the dive. It'll be a very manageable 3rd and 2 coming up. If you're getting about 4 yards a pop every time you give it to the fullback, why wouldn't you keep giving it to him?
You might as well. But on this one, if Hall would have kept and made that pitch, that sideline's wide open. The running back might have gone the distance for another touchdown.
Can't go for the big play every time, can you? I know you can swing for the fences every time in baseball. That's accepted these days. Here's Tanner Phillips around the end. First down and more inside the 30. Finally pushed out inside the 25. Good gain around the edge by Phillips. And again, Excelsior Springs moving the chains. Again, it's 3rd down when they go away from the fullback.
Only the second time we've seen that kind of, not quite an end around, but almost an end around with kind of the way they set up that option. We've seen the dive, we've seen the pitch, but we haven't seen Phillips come around and take that handoff.
I know you're a big offensive line guy, Andy. You like to analyze the guys in the trenches and watch them every play. It's almost kind of a counter blocking scheme, not a true counter attack, but of some similarities to it. Not much there for Robinson. And, ooh, you go down, and here comes Randall Gillum to fall on top of the pile.
That's not the guy you want falling on top of you at the end, but another great play by that interior line from the center defense.
Big 78 in blue. He will make his presence felt in the middle. He got off a couple blocks there to get in on that hit. Do like the way center's rallying to the football defensively right now. It's not 1 or 2 guys trying to drag down that fullback. They're getting 5, 6, 7 guys around him.
You're seeing lots of blue hats on the ball.
Just the way defensive coaches like it. Under 2 to go, first quarter. Again, pounding it in the interior, this time behind the right side of the line. Credit those 5 guys up front for Excelsior Springs here in this opening quarter. Starters on the line were listed as McCauley, Glom, Howardson, Polly, and Gilbert, just 1 senior among that 5-some, but they've, for the most part, have done a pretty good job opening some holes and pushing that line forward.
They've pushed that defensive line back, and you want to talk, we go back to we continue to talk about the size and strength of Robinson. On that last play, he drug Randall Gillum 2 yards.
That's a workout. This time, Hall keeping and not fooled. He goes down in the backfield. Good read by the defensive end coming off the backside. I believe that's Reggie Davis who got in there and wrapped him up.
Davis, a great play. That's the key to that defensive end spot in the option is you got to stay home. You want to sink in and attack that dive, even on the fake, but if you stay home, you're going to stop that quarterback every time on that option play.
I'll correct myself. That was Dimitri Miller. 52 instead of 62 that got in there on the hit. So now 4th down, call it 4th and 5, and here comes a flag off the far side.
That might have been the defensive end. Yeah, jumped across the line. That's going to give Excelsior Springs an easy first down.
They're going to be right at the marker. They may measure this. This is where I miss video games, where you know right away if they got it or not.
Or the first down line that tells you if you're close.
They do indeed have it, so it will be first down at the 13. Fresh set of downs for the Tigers as the clock ticks down in our opening quarter. Looks like the Tigers aren't going to snap the ball. Why not? Clock on their side. They will hustle up to the line. Maybe they will snap this. And they do. Trying to catch the center defense off guard. A little quarterback sneak action. And, hey, 4 yards. Nice solid pickup to end the first quarter. And a look you don't see very often. Ends up being a nice positive play for the Tigers. We're 12 minutes in. High school football underway with Excelsior Springs up 6-0 on center.
But if he starts running up, push in, but also tilt up. So if he starts, if he starts running down, kind of tilt down to go with him too, so he can leave, like, you don't want him to. Yeah. So if you hear a whistle, just kind of slowly pan over him and push him a little bit there. But he's always going to be behind the quarterback. So.
Center Education Foundation 5K race is on virtual this year. You don't have to get a roll, you don't have to get a wheels, you just need to register. You get $25 entry fee, you get a one-of-a-kind race shirt, plus over $50 in coupons to area businesses such as Blue Moose, Houston.
Ready for quarter number 2 at Center High School. Excelsior Springs leading 6-0. Stephen Davis, Andy Pollard with you on our student-run LTN Global production tonight here at Center High School. Only score so far, a 55-yard touchdown run from Tiger quarterback Dacey Hall. But it's the Tigers knocking on the door again here inside the center 10-yard line as we flip ends of the field. Tigers have had the football, it seems like forever. They score, they get the onside kick. It's almost as though center hasn't had it yet.
That's what it feels like, again, that tight set.
And again, it's Robinson behind the center and left guard down near the 5-yard line. It will be third down, but they're getting solid 3- and 4-yard minimum chunks every time they give it to that lead back.
They'll give it to Robinson, and then kind of like the first long touchdown run, you know, it's dive, dive, dive. And they don't expect the pitch. The outside backers and the middle linebackers start getting sucked in. That's when they're going to shoot it outside with either the quarterback keeper or the pitch.
Well, they shake it up here on third down. No, sir. Robinson. Bear hugged by Gillum, but has a first down. First and goal now for Excelsior Springs.
You don't need to shake it up when you can run the ball 4 yards right up the middle.
Makes that decision-making process easy for the quarterback. If you're not sure, give it to Robinson.
A great push by the offensive line. It's not all just Robinson and his strength dragging tacklers. That offensive line is getting a good push on the center defensive line.
Wouldn't be surprised to see 24 get it again here. First and goal at the 1. Instead, quarterback sneak. Hall looked like he had it, got pushed back, but they give it to him. Touchdown, Tigers. Dacey Hall's second time to the end zone in this game, and it's 12-0.
Dacey Hall just got a good push between his center and guard, kind of went up that right side. Maybe akin to a Tom Brady quarterback sneak. You know, he likes to call that quarterback sneak on the 1-yard line.
I thought we could get through a whole game without mentioning Tom Brady.
I feel bad that I did, too.
At least should have gotten a Mahomes reference before Brady, based on where we are. They go for 2. They give it to the wingback coming around the edge. Phillips taking it way wide, got tripped up. There is a flag down, though, so hold on for a moment.
Depending on what the flag is, it was still a great tackle from behind by the quarterback as well for center Joseph, or excuse me, not the quarterback, it was by the running back, Ohanmu, made that tackle.
Penalty on the offense, that'll be declined. Two-point conversion comes up empty, but 12-0 Tigers. They get the long drive from their own 4-yard line, 96-yard drive to score. They get an onside kick, short field, go down and score. A lot of momentum right now with the visitors from Excelsior Springs. Center wants to turn this thing around right now. This is presumably, if they get the football back, going to be only their second time with it. As we'll take one more look at the touchdown. Pretty simple play that, well, speaking of Patrick Mahomes, we may not see the Chiefs run again anytime soon. The old quarterback sneak, just get behind the big fellas and go.
Right up the middle, you know, Amani Robinson, you saw him put his hand on the back of the quarterback as if he was going to maybe give him a little bit of a push, but didn't need to. He's across the line before he even need to give him that old, here's another reference, that old Reggie Bush push.
It is a difference. We talk fullback up the middle, but the timing's just enough different on a quarterback sneak that it can catch the defense off guard.
Exactly. They're used to, you know, they make contact with that offensive line, have a second to shed that block, and still try and make that tackle. If the quarterback keeps it, by the time they've hit the offensive line, there's no time, and the quarterback's right past him.
This kickoff going down the field and into the end zone for a touchback. So, as we mentioned, center will get it now for the second time in the football game. Their first one was not the kind of possession you expect to start a game with. Coming off a turnover at the opponent's 20-yard line, they were unable to punch it in, turning it over on downs inside the 5. Now a more traditional possession as they'll try to go 80 yards down the field, and we can look at the full capabilities now of this centered Yellow Jacket offense.
And if you're Brian DeLong, you know, you're telling your team, you know, it's only the second quarter. There's 10 minutes left in the second quarter. We've got plenty of time. Let's just settle in. Let's run our offense. Let's be us. And let's just pick it up from here.
And they give it to Ohanmu, and lots of space, cutting it upfield. He's at midfield and down the sidelines. Nosa Ohanmu, 80 yards. Thank you very much. Touchdown, Yellow Jackets.
Ohanmu on that one. Instead of running the jet motion, they bring him around just in kind of that wing. Simple play. Just beat the defense on that edge. We talked about them getting on the edge. They got on the edge that time. It's gonna be hard to catch any of those athletic center offensive players when you get them on the edge.
Ohanmu's been playing every snap defensively too. You say, well, their offense is rested. He's not. And he looked like the fastest guy on the field right there as the kick shoots through. That was some impressive speed. Once he got to the sideline, he was not going to be caught.
Yeah, Ohanmu just, you know, once you get down that sideline, or once you get to that sideline, it's a track meet. And unless you can get that, you're not going to catch him from behind. You got to almost have that complete cross the field angle. And on that one, there was just nobody from Excelsior Springs that was going to make that tackle.
Look at that speed.
Yeah, there's a player trying to make that angle. He's got to be much farther across the field and come at a much wider angle to even come close to making that tackle.
Oh, what a response by the Yellow Jackets. One play, 7 points on the board, but I feel like we still haven't seen their offense.
Well, so maybe Brian DeLong didn't say, let's settle in. Maybe he said, let's go for it all in the first play.
Whatever he said, it worked. We've got a fun one here at Center High School tonight. A little bit of everything so far.
Yeah, surprise onside kick, a couple of fourth down conversions.
A turnover deep in your opponent's territory that doesn't go for anything. And a couple big plays going to the end zone. Now a long kick return. There is a flag down, though.
See how he's kind of at the top of your
As the return gets near the 50-yard line.
That flag is in the area of where you'd probably see a hold or a block in the back. The Excelsior Springs return team did a good job of staying in their lanes. They kind of they start into that wedge and then they kind of fan out. That's what kind of broke that return to get them all the way up to midfield.
Here's our official word. Oh, you're right on it. Holding. Back that one up 10 yards from the spot of the foul.
Those are the penalties that are the killers, too, because, you know, they had the ball at the 50. Those penalties from the spot of the foul, drops it back all the way to the 25. It's all basically a 25-yard penalty.
Goes in the books as 10. But this Excelsior Springs offense, except for a fumbled snap on their first possession, yet to be slowed down. They don't care if they need 50 yards or 76 here. They're feeling good right now.
Continue to run that base option. You'll see dive, pitch, or keeper almost every play.
Quarterback this time, Hall spinning across the 30. About 6 yards on first down. No fake of the dive that time. That looked like a little more of a designed quarterback run or pitch.
It was a little bit, like you said, a little bit of a variation. That Robinson that time, instead of, like you said, instead of a dive option, he just kind of led block, or was kind of the lead blocker for Hall as he came around that corner in between the guard and the tackle on the left side.
I think it was Bill Snyder a few years ago that he was really running his quarterback a lot. They said, Coach, this is a very innovative offense. He goes, no, it's not. It's just a different version of what people have been doing. We're running it out of a different set. People have been doing quarterback run game for years.
Good push that time by the guard and tackle on the right side that led Robinson up that right side. Another gain of 7 or 8 and another first down.
A lot of different ways to move the football. We've seen Excelsior Springs have a ton of success tonight so far, just on the ground. We've seen one pass attempt so far in this game, Andy. Who says running the ball isn't entertaining? This is great.
On a 4th down conversion as well.
Yeah, a 4th down throw into the end zone. Hall again, a great fake, gets to the sideline, and using that speed, Dacey Hall inside the 20 before he's tripped up. Well, if he pulls it and gets to the edge, look out. He's got some serious wheels.
You know, I said one of the keys to the game for center was stopping the triple option correctly, and they're just having trouble on those fakes because Excelsior Springs continues to dive, and they're just getting sucked into the middle on those dives, and that leaves that outside open. Once Hall gets to the edge or the running back gets to the edge, you know, it's just chase him down, and luckily they were able to do it that time.
46 yards on that run for Hall. He's having a day already, and we're still in the first half, and he's only carried it 4 times. A couple touchdowns, he's over 100 yards. It's the decision-making of the quarterback. You give it to your fullback, he takes the hits. His per carry average is going to be low. Quarterback gets all the glory all the time, right?
You know, that's what it's always been forever, right? The fullback and the offensive line, they never get the glory. It's always the quarterback or the running back.
Here's that big run again. Watch this fake. Everybody bites on it. Only guy who saw that Hall had it was the defensive end behind him.
And then it's down the sideline and chase him down. And center has the athleticism to catch up to him and make that stop.
A pickup of 3 on that first down play. Now 2nd and 7. Hall keeping again. Even after contact, able to battle forward for a couple more, and looks like he's got a first down.
That was an interesting look from the center defense. It was like the outside of that left outside of the center defense thought there was a dive because it didn't seem like they were attacking the quarterback or the pitch man.
First and goal, Tigers. Double tight to the left. Power to the near side. Fullback up the middle. Maybe a yard.
The Tigers run so many different tight sets so far. Even when they split that wide receiver out, which they haven't thrown the ball to anybody yet, but he's only split out not the traditional, 10 to 12 yards from the line. He's split out maybe 5 yards, and then they just pack that line in. The wings in that set, or the option guys in that set, they're so tight. There's nobody is more than, it looks 2 to 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. The fullback is where the quarterback would stand in a shotgun snap.
As they look to the sidelines, it's like their coaches want to talk about things. Interesting to shift things there as they came set that time. But staring at a 2nd and goal on the 7, they'll discuss it. A little more than 7 minutes to go, first half. 12-7, Excelsior Springs on top of Center. Stephen Davis, Andy Pollard with you. And again, this Excelsior Springs offense, getting it down the field. The big play from Hall doesn't hurt, but the key guy has been the fullback. Can you give it to the fullback, though, in tight quarters, or do they find a way to get it to the edge, even though that space is limited?
Well, in this flexbone veer triple option, if that's what you want to call it, the key is the fullback. They're going to give it to the fullback almost, I'd say 80% of the time, and then that's just what that's what opens the doors for everything else.
Talked about how they want to get it to Robinson at least 20 times. They don't mind giving it to Hall 20-plus times a game in some form either. It was Robinson softening things up early, but you can see they do have a couple designed runs in there for Hall as well, and with the athleticism and speed he has, why not? Maybe they get it to him around an edge again here. And a little different look this time.
First time we've seen this one.
2 hands in the ground in the backfield. But that goes nowhere. Jackson Henson, a freshman in the backfield, gets hit and stood up for no gain, and suddenly 3rd and goal now.
That center defense, again, we talked about kind of being young. That was a freshman that made the tackle. They start 6 sophomores as well on defense. Just a young team all around.
And it's one thing, you think youth, they're not as physically developed, but it's as much watching the play and knowing what's coming out of formations and kinds of offenses you'll see to guys to be able to be in the right place.
Talking to both coaches, they said the biggest thing was just experience.
How about this on a reverse, getting to the pylon, and in is Carson Salisbury. Touchdown, Excelsior Springs. Salisbury 7 yards around the edge. And he's the guy who, when they do send a wide receiver out there, gets his cardio in, running out there, drawing a defender while they run up the middle. And, hey, he gets rewarded around the edge with the reverse-type run.
You know, it's one of those times that, reward that receiver who kind of plays decoy on most of this offense, gets around to the corner, has the speed to get out there, break around to the edge, and just get to the corner for the end zone.
Again, though, the Tigers unable to convert on some kind of PAT. This time the kick wide to the right. They've had 3 touchdowns and 3 different issues now with trying to get something beyond the 6. But still leading by 11. And, hey, they tried a couple different things when they got inside the 10, and they strike gold here, giving it to Carson Salisbury coming around.
It was almost just kind of an end around because he wasn't split out. He wasn't split out far like a wide receiver. So another different look. Coach Fabian said we're going to see lots of different sets on the offense. There's another one for the first time we see it. Salisbury just takes that handoff right around the end. Wide open for the easy score.
Excelsior Springs, 4 possessions, Andy. The first one, a fumble on their second play, a quarterback-center exchange. Since then, 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns.
You can't make up for the first mistake better than 3 for 3 on touchdowns to drives. You know, it's you make that first mistake and you get down on yourself, not the Tigers.
Center on the other side has had the ball only twice. Once off that fumble, unable to convert at the plus 20-yard line, got stopped inside the 5. No problem the next time, though. 80-yard run by Ohanmu and got on the board that way. And they still have plenty of time to operate here before halftime.
Plenty of time left in the game. Ohanmu will be kind of the key to that offense from on the running plays. You'll see Vic carry it some, but you know, when you get down, do you start looking to the air a little bit? Coach DeLong said that Vic is a little bit better of a thrower than he is a runner. Could we see them start to maybe throw the ball and open up the passing game just a little bit? He actually said they changed their offense. They were a traditional running team forever. And then when they got Vic, who could run that, who throws the ball well, they've adjusted their offense a little bit to put a lot more of the passing game into their current offense.
You talk about being down and you're about midway second quarter. They've only run 8 offensive plays so far.
Can't be much they can't be far into the script, and we'll see what they do here. There's the jet motion.
Jaleel Cheney with a flag down.
Go back to the right back, right there.
Comes around with a loss of
The guy in the white hat.
flag is down on the field.
And then in stripes, we'll sort this out. Ooh, a big one against the offense. Illegal use of hands, which is personally one of my favorite penalties to hear because all of penalties are illegal. But the one that's termed illegal use of hands, I always snicker a little bit.
Yeah, illegal use of hands is usually going to be one of those things, putting your hands up, not you're grabbing the face mask, but a lot of times getting your hands up into the face mask or into the head region, which is definitely a penalty in high school football.
Technically, holding, anything would be illegal use of hands, right? I try to go to Cheney again, this time in the air, and he takes a pop after being unable to reel it in. Suddenly center staring at a very long 2nd and 22 now. You get off schedule in a hurry with a penalty when you're primarily a running team.
You feel like you have to make it up in one play, and that's not the case. You know, you have 3 downs. If you're not picking it up on 1st or 2nd down, you still have an opportunity to pick up the 1st down. But here, really, the focus needs to be, let's get away from the end zone so we're not punting out of our own end zone if we hit 4th down.
Hanmu falling forward across the 15. You were an offensive lineman, Andy. You had to love it every time when your running back would fall forward when they'd get hit.
Well, the goal is, you know, if you see that, if you're not blocking and you see that tackle happening right next to you, you're pushing him forward. You want to dive on top of that pile. You don't want the defensive guys on top of your running back. If anybody's going to fall on top of your running back, you want it to be your offensive guys pushing him forward, hopefully into the end zone or past the 1st down marker.
Always moving forward. 3rd and long. Joseph Vick decides to pull that one down. He's going to scramble. Nice little move. Gets 6 yards, but now 4th and 10. He picked up his initial read or two there, didn't see anything open, and made a good choice.
That pass protection broke down fairly quickly there. Not much time for Vic to stand in the pocket before he had to make an escape and just try to get back to the line of scrimmage.
He's going to catch it.
So now 4th down.
We're going to just kind of plan over once he kicks it.
And so Hanmu kicking it. Excelsior ready for it on the return. This is Salisbury, who had the touchdown moments ago, and was able to get a lot of yardage on that return. And the Tigers are set up at the center 44-yard line.
Salisbury with a great return there, just able to cut it back across the field and pick up another 10 or 12 yards, evading the center punt team.
Excellent field position now for the Tigers, who have punched it into the end zone the last 3 times they've had it. You feel like there's nothing there on the dive, then you look up and go, well, you've still got 2 yards. 2 yards is better than none.
Robinson pushing forward. Again, he's one of those running backs that you don't see very often tackled backwards. As we were talking about, you know, you want the offensive line to push him forward. He hasn't needed a push forward yet so far. Every time he's handed the ball, he's falling forward on those tackles.
I want to run something by you here, see if you like this, especially in a game like tonight and what Excelsior's doing, running the ball, no pass attempts. Here's Robinson again, perfect example. The old adage used to be what? 3 yards in a cloud of dust. almost everybody's got these turf fields now. You got the rubber pellets ground in there underneath the pretty green grass, the grass-like substance. How about 3 yards and a cloud of rubber? Or 3 yards and a cloud of rubber pellets?
I'll take the 3 yard. You know, those,
it doesn't sound as
good. It
good.
doesn't sound as good as 3 yards and a cloud of dust. But you know, more and more teams continue to move towards these, you know, synthetic turf fields or the fields with the rubber pellets in them.
And they're awesome.
And they're exactly, they're great. They last. The biggest problem for me when I've been on them, you end up with a shoe full of those rubber pellets at the end of the night.
They don't hurt too bad. There's a pass attempt off the back foot and falling incomplete. 4th down upcoming. But these turf fields are awesome. You can play soccer on them. They're fantastic for soccer. Those guys love them. They feel fast out there. Football loves them. They hold up in the weather. The maintenance is down. They're going to last 20, 30 years. I feel like I'm selling them right now. I've seen places where they play baseball on them, softball. You can have almost 4 sports going at the same time if it's practice season.
And I think Hall is going to like the comfort of those over a hard dirt ground after the hit he took on that pass play on the last play.
Second time we've seen it on a 4th and medium. They get the defense to jump. This one won't get them a first down, but instead of 4th and 6, now they've got 4th and 1.
You know, you're not seeing the hard count. You're not seeing the quarterback up under center, you know, kind of doing that lurch forward as he gets the hard count. You're just seeing the center offense or center defensive line, whether they're, you know, just anticipating the play or anticipating a short snap count, just jumping across before that ball moves.
And that's another sign of youth and inexperience. How can they get him stopped on 4th and 1? Good interior line work by the center defense, but when you only need a yard, Amani Robinson and that front 5 of the Tigers able to pick up 2, and they'll move the chains.
The entire Tiger offensive line was off of the ball on that play before the defensive line was even up. They're almost pushing them while they're still down in their stance. Easy to pick up that 1 yard needed for the first down.
Fresh set of downs inside the center 35. Hall and the Tigers looking to throw it this time. Now Hall's going to put on some moves and some fancy moves. Inside the 30, still on his feet to the 26. He turned what looked like nothing or a possible sack into a 7-yard gain.
Such an athletic quarterback, able to shift and juke around. You'll see on this play, watch this cut there. Cuts again and then cuts back to the middle of the field. The quarterback for the Tiger team, regardless of who it's been over the last 2 years, has been the rushing leader for the offense.
Go back to the umpire.
That's Robinson, the fullback, but this one never got off the ground. That'll cost him 5 big yards.
A big pickup would have been another first down, negated by the penalty.
Back to the 35. Still 6 yards for Robinson going behind the left side. Gets a big chunk back.
You just kind of feel like the linebackers are seeing dive every play, and they continue to make that stop there. This is the time that Excelsior Springs runs that option. They make the pitch, and it breaks something, or they just pitch it.
3rd down. There is the pitch to the far side, and just shy of the first down. Back to 4th and a yard where they were moments ago.
It's another 4th down decision.
Under a minute to go, though. I wonder if Excelsior might use a timeout here to get that clock stopped, or especially use it if they get the first down and get things organized. They'll get up on the ball pretty quickly.
Taking a lot of time.
Hall wants to keep it. Has the first down, not much more though. Pulled backwards by Jaden Latham.
An awful lot of time in the huddle and at the line of scrimmage of that play. You wonder if that comes back to bite him to have an opportunity to run more plays before this half runs out.
Clock stops till the ball's ready for play, then they'll wind it. Clock rolling, 20 seconds. Hall looking deep, throwing, end zone. Incomplete. Up above the crowd was a Tiger trying to grab it, but he just couldn't quite squeeze it. Pretty good coverage by center, 3 blue shirts in the area.
Dangerous pass, throwing it into almost triple coverage. It was a little bit of a zone defense there. And that receiver had his hands on the ball at the top of his jump. The key word you always hear is high point the football. And he had that opportunity. The defense did a good enough job to knock that ball right out of his hands at the last second.
Wonder if they take a couple more shots to the end zone. They toss it. The running back's going to throw it. And that one out of the back of the end zone, incomplete. Tanner Phillips was the man throwing it that time. Showed a pretty good arm.
Coach Fabian not afraid to use the trickeration. We've seen the onside kick. We've seen the end around. We've seen the halfback pass now.
I don't mind letting your running back throw it in a situation like this. That's pretty fun.
It's not a play that the defense is typically expecting.
Hey, and when the kid's got an arm like this,
let it
rip.
Yeah, I had to throw it 29 yards just to get it to the end zone.
And credit the center defense. Those guys didn't bite on that at all. They stayed back. They were behind the receiver.
Yeah, they didn't fall at all for what would have been just a typical sweep, but stayed back and were able to make a good defensive play and stop that one.
Well, they've had kicking issues on extra points, so field goal is probably out of the question here. You'd expect some sort of toss to the end zone again, right?
Yeah, 6 seconds left. You got to go for the end zone. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some other kind of trick play because we haven't seen Hall throw the ball that much.
How many trick plays does a team have in their playbook?
You got to have at least 4 or 5, I think. You may not ever call them all. You look at, you go back to the Super Bowl and the Chiefs run that Rose Bowl parade where everybody shifts and spins around. They said they practiced it every single day in practice and pulled it out in the last game of the season, the Super Bowl.
It's incredible.
That's got to be one of those things where you're like, oh, we're really going to practice this play again?
You could run a halfback pass every game.
Right?
Hey, if you're going to have everybody on your team spin, you better practice it every day.
It was a beautiful play. Everybody was in sync. It was almost synchronized dance moves.
Synchronized swimming on grass.
That's what I was going to go for at first with synchronized swimming. When I was like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Timeout called. It's homecoming at Center High School tonight. They're going to crown a king and a queen at halftime.
Homecoming and senior night, it's one of those things this early in the season. You don't typically see those things, but everybody a little bit worried about, how long is the season going to be due to what we've seen other teams have to do because of coronavirus.
That's why you play high school sports. The experience, the fun, the cheerleaders. Excelsior Springs is able to bring a few fans down tonight. First of their 3 games this season, they've gotten to play with anybody watching, any family in the stands. This is what high school athletics is all about. I don't care if there's 50 people here. I don't care if there's 5,000. This is cool. This is why we love high school athletics and activities.
And it just gives you a little bit of that normalcy. Everybody feels like they've been cooped up for so long. As painful it is to see the stands that empty, you'd never see it that way in a normal season. But to just get that number of people here, like you said, it's just awesome.
And they are going to try a field goal.
We're
just 2 guys talking about football. Coach Fabian says, hey, let's try this. 39-yard field goal attempt. That one with some distance, but wide left. Trevor Stanton showing the leg that time.
You know, the snap was good. The hold was good. He just pushed it a little bit to the left, had the distance on it, which is, you know, we were talking earlier. If you can make anything from 35, that's pretty good for high school. He had the distance from 39 there, just a little bit off on the direction.
For those of us who are bad golfers, I once had a kicker tell me that kicking is like hitting a driver. You can hit one good, but the next four, if you don't do the exact same thing, and it makes the guys who hit their driver well and the guys who kick the ball well very elite, because they can repeat that motion time after time, and the rest of us look foolish.
It's that muscle memory. Center here not going to take a shot at 80 yards. That, you know, that was close to what their first touchdown run was. They'll take a knee here.
They should get the football first to start the second half, but they'll take it to the locker room right now. Fun first half. Some big plays, some good defense as well. Dacy Hall of Excelsior Springs with a couple touchdown runs, helping the Tigers to an 18-7 lead over the Center Yellow Jackets. Missouri High School football on ESPN3.
Ask him, does he need anything from me? I might go check on those other guys.
Nick said, do you need anything from him? He doesn't know.
I'll go, if you're all right, I might.
He said he's going to go down there with Nyla,
Okay.
help her out. She feels like she's stuck in one spot. He said, okay, he's on his way.
Thank you.
Cheerleaders getting on the field.
Can I step on the field now? Oh, he said, can I ask you if I can step on the field now?
I'm sure, yeah.
Oh, he said yes.
I'm just guessing now.
I'm in there on the field, so I feel like it'll be fine. They're not playing football right now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Yellow Jacket Stadium for the 2020 Royalty Halftime Presentation. Thank you for helping us adhere to public health guidelines and working to limit crowds both inside and outside our stadium. We are honored to be able to recognize our students tonight. However, they will not be escorted by parents this evening. We will record the halftime presentation and broadcast the presentation on our live CHS.
We're at halftime. Center High School, Kansas City, Missouri. Beautiful night. You could not have ordered better weather. Thank you, Mr. Pollard, for ordering this weather. It is spectacular. 18-7 is our score. Excelsior Springs on top. Stephen Davis, Andy Pollard. Mentioned fun first half. Talked about this is why we do high school sports. It's not a huge crowd. We've got COVID. Excelsior Springs able to bring some folks down. You got center cheerleaders. It's homecoming. It's senior night. You're going to get a little bit of everything tonight, but it's the experience, and you remember nights like this. I think we could both go back into our memory banks. You remember these as a high school kid, what you were doing on a Friday night, big home night, football game, and everything that goes into part of growing up and going through the high school experience.
And, you know, it's just fun. It's just fun for the kids. They get out. They get to celebrate homecoming. They get to celebrate senior night. With how crazy things ended for a lot of athletes last year, for them to get the opportunity to at least have a senior night. There were plenty of kids that played spring sports this past season that didn't get to have a senior night because things were canceled. They didn't get to have a homecoming because things were canceled. So, like you said, it's just fun to be out here and for these kids to get to make these memories and get to experience senior night and homecoming.
And knock on wood that in 10, 20, 30 years, we're going to look back and the class of 2020, 2021 are going to go, man, you remember how crazy school was for us, having to wear masks? Remember homecoming and everybody wearing a mask and how goofy it was? It's what we got. Everybody's going through it right now, and you know, you talk about how this is fun for the kids. It's fun for us to get to be here. It's fun for the student crew we're working with tonight to get to be part of this as well. It's a great deal for everybody involved. You don't want this, but darn it, it's a lot better than nothing. And you got football play. The great debate, should the football players take part in homecoming festivities or not? Well, Nosa Ohanmu is, and why not?
You know, when I played high school football, our football coach was very anti-football players taking part in homecoming. So you could be on the homecoming court as a football player, but there was no way you were going out for that ceremony. So my senior year, our homecoming king was the quarterback who, obviously we were in the locker room, so I don't even know what they did with the king's crown, but I don't know that he ever received it.
We always had stand-ins at my high school. If you were a football player, you had to pick somebody to stand in for you in the ceremony. And the more I've gotten away from it, you know what? As important as high school football is, you only get one homecoming, and if you're on the court, you should get to take part in everything. I've really changed my mind on that over the years.
I completely agree. I mean, the message that the coaches are giving their players at halftime is not something that they can't relay in 15 seconds after homecoming has taken place.
Probably more importantly, you like to get the guy off his feet. Nosa's played every snap offensively and defensively, and he's standing out there. And, hey, the guy next to him, speaking of taking time off, as we get another King candidate introduced, the other guy that was out there, Davion Ross Stewart, is actually working on our production crew tonight, and we let him out of the room to go out and take part in homecoming.
Handling the graphics on our broadcast tonight, so he's done a great job, and well, hopefully there'll be somebody in the booth that can maybe pop his name up when he gets to walk across the field here as a homecoming King candidate.
Let's run through our candidates here, homecoming at Center High School. The Queen candidates, Khadijah Sanko, Anissa Masterson, Jasmine Cage. King candidates, Benjamin Lahan, Davion Ross Stewart, and Nosa Ohanmu. There are your King and Queen candidates are being introduced right now. There's Davion, who we let out of the graphics room. He's been the one putting up all the stuff on the screen that you've seen that looks cool. Soccer player, baseball player. He's in the band, working on the TV crew tonight. You get to take part in homecoming, absolutely.
Well, why not? You know, again, it's just another memory. He's with all the activities listed for him. How do you have time to be a part of the TV crew? So you just appreciate the hard work and the work ethic that these kids have to be involved in so many things instead of sitting at home or just, you know, not doing anything.
And you want to talk about hard work and work ethic. Virtual school. You're not getting in here. You're not taking part in the TV production class. You're not getting your hands on the equipment. These kids got in here yesterday to be able to get this set up for the broadcast. They get it on the air tonight. And a lot of them, and most of them, in fact, hadn't been in their high school building since last March. Talk about getting back to a sense of normalcy. It's not normal because nobody else is in the building with you. It's kind of a ghost town. But to get back in, actually have some classroom time, to get your hands on stuff and work on it and learn something, that's getting back to normalcy.
And it's kind of a behind-the-curtain thing because the average viewer has no idea what it takes to put together a TV broadcast, and for the students that are participating with us tonight to be able to do as good a job and create as solid a production as we've seen so far in the first half, nothing but a tip of the cap and maybe an air high five or a little elbow dap to say, you know, great job so far in the first half on these kids who've literally had 24 hours basically before they had to put on a TV broadcast.
It is phenomenal, the work that goes into this and every TV broadcast. You hear us two tonight or whoever's talking on the broadcast. There's so many more people behind the scenes. Trevor Hayes is our guy from LTN Global leading this student production, the quote-unquote professional leading the operation, as they're going to name the King and Queen here momentarily. We're at halftime of our football game. Excelsior Springs leading Center 18-7. And we have a homecoming queen.
Anissa Masterson. Congratulations, Anissa.
She needs to catch her breath right now.
Involved in volleyball, but as we said at the top of the broadcast, the volleyball season cut short due to coronavirus.
We'll try it in the spring, maybe. And your king
There it is.
the guy off our crew, Davion Ross Stewart. Congratulations, homecoming king.
Add another thing to his list. You know, we already talked about it. He's a band member, a soccer player, a baseball player, the graphics guy on our broadcast, and now homecoming king.
Here's the great question, though. If you're homecoming king or queen, do you put that on your resume? You put it on your college application.
Oh, for sure, right?
I think you'd want to leave that on your resume. Special note, high school homecoming king. Well, congratulations to Anissa and Davion, homecoming here at Center High School. We're at halftime. Excelsior Springs with the lead, 18-7 on ESPN 3.
Sorry? Pretty good? Yes. You look all official. Are you having fun? Yes. We're stressed. No, I am having fun. Although my back hurts a little bit, but...
Set the camera down a little bit. Take a break. It's halftime.
Oh, it's halftime. I don't have to record the cheerleaders?
I don't see it. Sit it down. Tell me you're going to sit it down and take a break, but leave him a shot.
I'm putting the camera down. No, I have a water and Gatorade. Okay. We stopped at the store before we came. I was like, Mom, I'm going to be here so soon.
Kind of frame up a shot in case he wants to come and use it, like maybe use the marker right there.
Not too deep.
Yep. You tell him to take it.
The Sports Medicine Center at Children's Mercy, helping student athletes play healthy by providing comprehensive care so they can enjoy a lifetime of sport participation. Learn more at cmh.org/sportsmedicine. And a special thank you to Center High School's Children's Mercy athletic trainer, Miss Karina Metzger.
18-7 at halftime. Excelsior Springs leads Center. We've got halftime highlights coming up as we continue right here on ESPN 3. halftime. 18-7 the lead for the Excelsior Springs Tigers over the Center Yellow Jackets. Stephen Davis, Andy Pollard with you at Center High School. KC Mo. Entertaining first half. Not a perfect first half. I don't think either coach would be totally pleased with their team's execution on either side of the football, but big plays ended up being a big story. An early turnover by Excelsior Springs didn't bite them, and then they were able to get the offense going when they got it back after the turnover, starting with a 96-yard drive, and they got the big play to cap it. Their fast quarterback, Dacey Hall, got out to the edge and went 55 yards to the end zone. And then the next possession, Hall did it in short order. They got down to the 1-yard line and said, hey, don't hand it off, just keep it.
Just a great push by the offensive line on that 1-yard quarterback sneak. But it doesn't matter the distance as long as you get to the end zone.
Center came right back. First play of the next possession, Nosa Ohanmu, 80 yards, bounced it to the outside, and he was gone. Center getting on the board there. That cut it to 12-7 after they added the extra point. And then Excelsior Springs got down in the red zone again and had to go a little different this time and got it to Carson Salisbury on the end around, if you will, 7 yards to the end zone. Kick was wide, but that got us to the 18-7 score we have here at the break.
And Excelsior Springs really just sticking to their game plan. They've run several different sets, several different motions, but it all goes back to that option. Again, on that play, still an option. They could have given the dive there, but instead handed off to Salisbury around the end for the touchdown.
So Hall, 2 touchdown runs for the Tigers. Salisbury 1. Ohanmu, the big 80-yard run on the other side. Hall and Ohanmu both over 100 yards rushing in that first half for their respective teams. 18-7 the score at the break. We move towards half number 2 as we continue right here on ESPN 3. Homecoming King and Queen announced moments ago, still hanging out on the track out by the field. We mentioned the King, Davion. He works on our student-run crew tonight here at Center High School. He's supposed to be doing graphics. Is there a special dispensation when you win Homecoming King that you don't have to go back to work that night?
You know, what have they always said? It's good to be the king. I guess he'll take the rest of the night off.
Some people said that. Oh, I was not expecting to hear that tonight. Well played. Well played. So, well, congratulations to Davion and Anissa. Enjoy it. Whether you put it on your resume or not, live it up tonight, right?
Exactly. Perfect night for football, perfect night for homecoming, perfect night for senior night. And, you could have asked for a much better game so far.
If I was the King, I'd stay out there as well. But was not close to being homecoming king. So we're going to come back for the second half. It's coming your way momentarily. 18-7 our score at the break. Excelsior Springs and Center on ESPN3. Teams are back out, getting loose for the second half. 18-7, Excelsior Springs in front. Stephen Davis, Andy Pollard. Well, the Excelsior Springs offense fumble their first possession on play number 2 of the night. A little bit of an auspicious start. They get it going after that. Touchdowns on 3 straight possessions. The last time they had the ball, though, stalled out a little bit. Didn't look quite as sharp. Time may have been a factor there as they were running up against the clock and trying to throw to the end zone late. But how do you think they make some adjustments for the second half? Or do they? Do you think they say, hey, let's keep doing what we were doing offensively and see how the defense reacts to us?
I think they keep doing what they were doing. I think that's what maybe caused that drive to stall out. Again, time may have been a factor, but they spread out a little bit wider. They put some wide receivers out on the ends, and they tried to throw the ball a little bit more. It's not their bread and butter. Their bread and butter is that triple option. We've seen it work. I think you stay with that and continue to pound it against the center defense.
As the center defense, do they make a ton of adjustments, or do they say, hey, we just need to read things better, read our keys, get off our blocks, go make plays, guys?
I think it's, again, just making the plays. It's reading your keys. Those outside linebackers really have to stay home and not get sucked in on that dive, because when that quarterback sees those linebackers get sucked in, that's when he's going to pull it, and he's either going to keep it or give that option pitch, which we've seen break for a couple of long touchdown runs. And so if center can just read their keys, stay home on the ends, and stop big Amani Robinson in the middle, I think that, they have a chance to turn this thing around.
How about flip it around the other way? The center offense never really looked like they found a rhythm. The first possession, they were in the red zone when they got it off the fumble. Second possession, 1 play, 80 yards, touchdown. Third possession was really their only real possession of the game. I don't know if you can make adjustments if you haven't really seen much yet, or do you think they have seen enough to go, all right, this is what we need to attack here in half 2?
I'd like to see the center offense move a little bit more towards the pass. We haven't seen Joseph Vick throw the ball very much. Maybe try and open the pass with just a few.
And you see him right there. That's a good arm.
Exactly. He's got a great arm. He's a better thrower than he is runner. But what they really need to do, or the other thing they should look at, is running that jet sweep. If they get that jet sweep to break to the outside, it opens up the thing in the middle, or it opens up things in the middle, and that's a thing, and that's what they could do to kind of spark this offense.
He is literally QB1. Sophomore Joseph Vick. We'll see what they have him doing in second half action as we are about to get ready and go with half number 2.
Vick's a guy that they're very high on. As only a sophomore quarterback, Coach DeLong has said he's one of the best leaders, one of the smartest kids. He's one of those guys that when you get on him in practice, he just says, okay, Coach, and he's just ready to lead that offense. And for a sophomore to be able to do that, you don't see that very often.
Can't have enough kids like that in whatever activity or whatever program you're running. Center will get the football first here in half number 2, as they'll try to chop into that 11-point Excelsior Springs lead.
If you're Excelsior, do you go with the onside kick again? Do you start the second half with the onside kick, or do you
Boy, I don't know if you can.
kick it deep?
They like to kick it at an angle no matter what. And they do kick it short. Covering it quickly, that center front line. That's the flip side of it. If you do go short on it, now you've set center up at midfield.
Yeah, maybe you can't tell if it's the hands team in there necessarily for center, but they weren't fooled by the short kick. I don't know if it's necessarily an onside kick, maybe just a short directed kick, hoping for a bounce off the hands of one of those front, typically linemen you would call them on kind of the kick return team.
So Vic in the offense out there for the blue shirted Yellow Jackets. Ohanmu right behind him. And that's Ohanmu up the middle, bouncing it outside for a couple yards. That was similar to how he got the 80-yard touchdown run earlier, but a couple white shirts in the way this time.
Just tried to, he's going to go off that right guard, right tackle, but then had to kick it outside, but a good contain by the Excelsior Springs defense.
Some spread looks for this center offense, but they do look to run the ball first out of these wide formations. Vic will throw it here, though. That one tipped and incomplete. Going for Deontay Melson. Sliding out to get a hand on that, I believe it was Lucas Shelton, good player at outside linebacker for Excelsior Springs.
That was one of the pass there by Vic. Took the snap, turned, directed the whole time, showed right there, no fooling of the defense, no fooling of Shelton there. Directed his eyes, directed the pass, and threw the ball in the exact same direction. You got to that's one of those things you talk about, coaches, you want them to at least look off the defender to see if you can at least get him to move out of the way a little bit.
This time over the middle and finds a man inside the 40, but incomplete. Ball touched the turf before it was reeled in cleanly by Armand Russell.
Tigers in a zone defense there, and Russell was able to find the gap in that zone, just couldn't hold on to the football.
A very quick 3 plays and not even 40 seconds off the clock for center with a couple incompletions. And we saw him punted out of an offensive set earlier. Might expect that again here with the way they've lined up.
Yeah, they kind of do that pooch punt setup. And then it would be the tail or the fullback in the back, Ohanmu, that'll take that shot or take that snap and then give the punt from there.
The biggest difference, modern day high school football, you don't see the guys going both ways. You don't get the Iron Man as much. Ohanmu is as close to an Iron Man as you'll get. He's playing offense at running back. He's playing defense at middle linebacker. He's punting. He basically only rests on kickoffs, I think.
Yeah, you look down the center roster with the starters that we were given, and you see several of the players with an offensive and a defensive position listed, but you're not seeing many of them play both ways.
Some will be in there for a snap or two occasionally on the other side, but not many playing both. And look at that punt by Ohanmu. Hey, so what if you're out there for every snap? Get that punt down to inside the 5. Well done.
The ideal punt you're looking for. It may not be the prettiest thing. He's kind of a toe poker punter. Kicked it right off the toe, but it got a beautiful bounce and roll right down inside the 5-yard line. He's, almost directly into that coffin corner.
Punting's all about the drop, right? Not the kick?
That's what they say.
Never understood that.
I don't know. You watch those punters on the sidelines at NFL games, and they spend half their time, more than half their time, just dropping the ball instead of kicking into the net.
You want to talk about guys who are skilled at what they do. Try to do what an NFL punter does once.
Yeah, with the pressure coming, with a rush.
Your average Joe can hit a drive well once in a while playing golf. They can't ever punt anything, especially not with guys trying to come in and smack it away.
And the poor punter, if anybody's going to get smashed on a play, it's always the punter. They've changed the rules a little bit now, and on punts and on interceptions, the quarterback and the punter they get protection now, and they're not allowed to get smashed like they used to. But anytime you watch those old football follies, who was the player that was always getting smashed? It was the punter or the kicker, every time.
They're still football players.
And speaking of that, I watched a video today of a punter. It was a 250-pound punter. He squatted 600 pounds 4 times.
My goodness. That play blown dead on 2nd and 7. Speaking of things normal humans can't do. Once.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't ask how you came across a video of that. We'll just leave that one alone. Penalty will back them up halfway, so inside the 3 now, and well, Excelsior Springs is in very tight quarters now near their own goal line. Talk about their tight formations. They're going to get everybody packed in tight.
Almost looks like a goal line offense set, like we've said before, a little motion.
2-back set. Hall keeping it, spinning across the 5 to the 6. Just trying to get something in case they do have to punt it out of the end zone.
Again, that's all you're looking for when you're this deep in the end zone. You're looking for that first down. You can't look at it like, oh, we got to get to the end zone on this set of downs. Let's just advance the ball, get out of our own end zone. Let's not punt from our own end zone, because a lot of times when you have to punt from that deep, everything is so backed up that it causes problems, and that's where you see a lot of safeties.
3rd down and 7. Movement on the far side. Couldn't tell if that was defense or offense first.
It looked like a little bit of a false start from the offensive line. And that play was dead before it started.
It was on the defense, and now 3rd and 7 becomes 3rd and 2.
3rd and 2 certainly much more manageable. We've said it a million times. What's the play here? You think you got to go option? I think you got to look at Robinson right up the gut.
Back to that flex formation. They'll shift 2 tight ends to the right. And indeed, it is the fullback. There was not much space anywhere. Very well defended by center. They may not have this.
I think he shorted. It wasn't Robinson getting the carry, a different fullback in on that play, and center snuffed it out. It was Chris Beatty right there in the middle.
So it is 4th down. And that's still the offense out there for the Tigers.
Risky call.
Right up on it. Quick handoff, and they have enough.
Good push by the offensive line. Everybody got, once the running back kind of got held up there, everybody kind of converges right there and just gets the push forward to get across that down marker.
Calculated gamble. And Robinson able to pick up the 1st down.
You know, we talked about it a lot. Lots of running plays, almost half the, or almost getting to half the 3rd quarter gone. If Excelsior Springs continues to run the ball, they're just going to burn clock up, and center may not have the opportunity to make a comeback.
Go wide on the fullback dive that time.
Good push by the right side of that offensive line. Able to push the center defensive end and nose tackle back just a little bit, forcing the 2nd level of the defense to make that stop. If you're forcing the 2nd level to make that stop, you're at least getting 3 to 4 yards every play.
Good look at that Excelsior Springs offensive line. Robinson again hit, but falls forward for a couple more yards.
Again, we keep seeing Hall make those good decisions on the option. Had to give the dive there. If you watch a replay of that one, you'd see the outside linebacker stayed home, ready to take on the quarterback or shift to that pitch man if he pitches the ball.
3rd and short out of the 2-back set. The hole opened up and tripped up was Shelton. Looked like he had a little more space.
Good run by the back there. Hit the hole at the perfect time. He was being pursued from the back by a blitzing linebacker, by a blitzing outside linebacker. But he makes that move into the hole just in time, and that linebacker's not able to get him. He's able to pick up the yardage.
Again, fullback dive. Just wearing down that center defense. Pound, pound, pound out to the 35.
Again, we've said it all night. It's that bread and butter play. Run the option, take that dive. We've seen it so many times. The Tigers, continue to just pound through that offensive line. We see Gillum come back in for center. Maybe he can get a stop here for that defensive line.
That's Shelton again. That last carry by Robinson, Andy, by our count, his 17th of the night. He's only at 63 yards, but he's been the key to this whole Excelsior Springs offense.
He's the workhorse, They're just going to continue to give the ball to him up the middle, and that's what sets up the outside and the edge plays that have worked for the long touchdowns.
A little forward movement by the motion man.
Just a little bit ahead of the snap.
Only legal in Canada.
False start call against the Tigers. Repeat first down, 13-15.
They're going to change some personnel. Robinson is out. Changing lots of personnel are the Tigers. 4 or 5 fresh bodies onto the field.
They'll spell that offense quite a bit. When you have long drives like this, you've got to spell the players, especially the players that are carrying the ball getting beat up every play. If not, they get banged up and have to take longer breaks.
This has been a long drive already in terms of time. Remember, it started very deep in their own territory, and they're barely past the 30. And now back inside the 30 as Dimitri Miller brings down the quarterback, Hall, who was not on the same page as the rest of his team.
Yeah, well, Hall just opened up the wrong way. Opened up to his left, expecting to pitch the ball that way. Everybody else went right. He turns around. Nobody's there except for Dimitri Miller.
It's got to be one of the worst feelings for a quarterback. You turn one way expecting somebody to be there, and your teammates have all gone the other direction.
And then you turn around, and what do you see? All opposite color.
A large man in another color shirt. Another whistle. Things getting a little ragged here, 3rd quarter. That'll cost the Tigers another 5 yards. They are moving in the wrong direction right now.
Moving in the wrong direction, but continuing to work that clock. One of the things that Coach Fabian said prior to this game was their best defense is their offense. If they can control that clock, they can kill that clock and continue to burn time off. They don't have to put their defense out there. They don't have to try and stop the athletes on the center offense.
Breaking away this time is Robinson out to the 40. Well, you think you've got him down, all of a sudden he breaks free on his 18th carry of the night.
You watch him run, and he's got the qualities of an Adrian Peterson. He's got those big, thick legs, always keeps them moving. Anytime he gets hit, he doesn't just go down. He continues to just drive those legs, pound those legs forward. And that's what, and again, as like we said earlier, he always falls forward. You don't see him get hit and stood up and then pushed over backwards. It's something you try to teach, but not everybody's able to do.
13 yards on that carry, and it brings them 3rd and 7 now. They're back within range. Hall fakes, keeps, has the first down, bouncing off tacklers and across midfield as we get a late flag. Just when you think Excelsior Springs not going to go anywhere offensively, a couple big plays by their two main guns on the offense.
It's been all night, Robinson and Hall, Robinson and Hall. You know, they are the bulk of the offense. If one's going to carry the ball 20 to 25 times and the other one's going to get 20 or so touches.
This will be an interesting call here.
It's kind of in the area of where you'd see that block in the back or a hold. Yeah.
So wipe out the first down. Yardage-wise, though, it will set up a very similar third and probably about 7.
Yeah, it negates that gain there, but it doesn't hurt you as bad as if it's in the backfield or if it takes you 10 yards from the original line of scrimmage. Unfortunately, it just takes those 7 to 8 yards off that you got on the previous play.
On officials' timeout here, they want to make sure they get this spotted in the right place. So it'll actually be a 3rd and 5 coming up now.
3rd and 5, very manageable, especially for this Excelsior Springs offense. It's not a down where you have to, it's not a distance where you have to pass. I would look for, you know, we've said it all night option, but this is one where you might see that kind of, maybe that end around play again that sparked that touchdown by Newberry earlier, or Salisbury earlier.
Mentioned the passing. The only pass attempts by Excelsior Springs tonight have been on that drive in the final seconds of the first half where they were having to throw 20-plus yards into the end zone.
And with as much time as they burned off the clock, there's no reason for them to pass right now.
They need the 47. Robinson churning those legs is near the marker, but appears to be a bit short. Now, they have not been shy about going for it on 4th down tonight, and hard to blame them the way they've picked up yardage on the ground.
Yeah, if you can just continue, if you with 4th and 1, you know, this is one of those Marshawn Lynch situations in the Super Bowl. Just give him the ball. Same number, it's 24. Just give him the ball on the 1-yard run. Pick up that first down.
Robinson is out on this play, and it's Hall just keeping it. I'll correct myself, Robinson was still in, but it's Hall who just keeps it. First down on the quarterback sneak.
And we've seen that on 4th and 1. They did that on the 4th and 1 goal line play that led to Hall's first or second touchdown. The 1-yard sneak for his second touchdown.
We're under 3 minutes to go now, 3rd quarter. They got the football with more than 11 minutes on the clock in this period. If my math is right, that's an 8+ minute possession.
You don't see that often in high school football, but what a great play on that stop. That was Ohanmu from his linebacker spot, making the play, blowing up that option play in the backfield.
Stopping Shelton. Credit the center defense as long as they've been out there in this 3rd quarter. Now nearing 9 minutes. They've shuffled some bodies in and out. Ohanmu's played about every snap both ways tonight, and they're not making it easy on Excelsior Springs right now. That was a loss of 1 on that last carry.
The senior Ohanmu on senior night wants to show out for everything he can. He's been involved in almost every play.
And they have really started to slow down that dive game with the exception of the 13-yard run by Robinson. His yardage is coming really hard right now, only 2 yards there.
You know, in the open we talked about the Tigers team and would they be in football condition after their COVID quarantine. Really impressed with the push the offensive line is still getting this long into the drive. I mean, this is exhausting for an offensive lineman to continue to push that defensive line back play after play in one consecutive drive with no breaks.
10 minutes. They've moved the football approximately 45 yards. Hall pulls it. Can't get away from the first man hanging on and wrestling him to the ground. Omarion Heron Johnson, and now a 4th down decision, and it's not a 4th and 1.
4th and 4 still manageable when you've got that ball on the center half of the field, you've got to go for it as you have all night. They haven't punted yet. And so, you know, again, I don't think you're going to see a pass here. You're just going to see the option play. Oh, or they get him to jump. Good hard count by Hall there.
Not one, not two, but 3 times now. A center lineman has jumped on a 4th and medium tonight.
And that's, you know, we've talked about it. When you have a young defensive line or a young defense, it's just you've got to have the patience and you've got to have the ability to watch that ball and not move until that ball is snapped.
You want to get off the field so bad. It's hard to blame them. A fresh set of downs at the center 41 for this Tiger offense. A little different look as they sneak it to Robinson, and he breaks through inside the 30 and caught from behind at the 20-yard line. How about a 21-yard run for Amani Robinson?
That's a big pickup by Robinson right up the middle. Doesn't have the speed to break it away, but you don't need it. Again, you continue to pick up first downs, continue to grind that clock out, and keep that center offense off the field.
Could do it for the 3rd quarter. 20 yards on that carry for Robinson, his 20th of the night. He's still shy of 100 for the game at 98, but hey, a little different look to get it to him this time. Gets off that first hit and finds space.
He just continues to churn those legs, cuts it out to the right after he gets that first hit. He's such a big guy. You know, that first hit, when you're that defender, it's just a violent hit.
And his teammates appreciating his effort. We're through 3 at Center High School. Excelsior Springs still hanging on to the football. They're nearing the red zone, leading this one 18-7, and you can't blame Robinson. Stand outside the huddle, take your helmet off, and breathe a little bit.
That guy's got to get spelled just a little bit.
Well, Robinson will catch his breath. We'll come back and see what the 4th quarter has in store as Excelsior Springs tries to add to their lead. Welcome back. 4th quarter already underway. While we were away, Dacey Hall, 5-yard quarterback keeper. 2nd and 5 now for the Excelsior Springs offense. This drive, Andy, started inside their 5-yard line 12 minutes ago, with just over 11 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. They have possessed the ball for essentially an entire quarter, as Hall is going to be roped down this time. Maybe a yard on the play. That clock continues to roll. Whether they get points or not on this drive, it has been successful burning this much time. If they get points, it's a double victory.
Well, it's a testament to the conditioning of that offensive line and the offense in general. Still continuing to be able to push the ball forward for as long as they have. You don't see drives this long in any level of football. This is just incredible by the Tigers offense.
12 and a half minutes off the clock. Big 3rd down here. 2-back formation. Handoff goes to the first man. I believe that's Shelton. And a pickup of 3 brings up a 4th and 2, and maybe the biggest play of the game to this point.
And that's a different option look than we've seen yet. We haven't seen the traditional just down the line where the running backs are kind of split in the backfield. And, you know, you've got the fullback going straight ahead. He pulls from there, and then the pitch man running parallel to the quarterback. We haven't seen that look yet. Now back in their typical setup.
Fullback Robinson didn't need much. Got 3 when he needed 2.
Just continues to pound the ball right up the middle. There hasn't been a stop for him. We haven't seen Gillum out there is who we haven't seen. We haven't seen Randall Gillum out there.
He just came back into the game, big 78 in blue. First and goal here for Excelsior Springs on what is nearing a 14-minute long possession. They had a 96-yard drive, their first score of the night. This one would be a touch longer than that if they can get it to the end zone. But it's the time off the clock that has made it impressive as Amani Robinson totes it again and picks up 5 yards.
Well, you don't see drives that last this long in time, but you also don't see very many high school football drives that are 90-plus yards, and for them to have 2 of them that could lead to points is just incredible work.
I'll see if Randall Gillum and the guys on that center defensive line can keep him out of the end zone. Second down. Robinson only a yard before he's pushed back. How about Corey Bolin getting in underneath there to make that play from his safety spot? He came up, grabbed Robinson's legs, and would not let go.
Just firing up to the line of scrimmage as quick as he can. And you almost wonder, they ran away from Gillum that time, so I wonder if they're making notes of that, if the quarterback is, if they get that option up there when there's the opportunity to call a play to the left or the right, and then kind of making that decision based on the look of the defense.
15 minutes off the clock on this drive. Third and goal at the 4. Hall turned around, nobody was there, and Bolin gets him down. And now it's suddenly 4th down back near the 10.
Another busted play. Hall turned the wrong way, or the play ran the wrong way, and then he turns around and sees a face full of Bolin right there.
Center needing the stop here because of the time situation. Excelsior Springs has used the clock to perfection on this drive. Would they put it in the air here?
I think you just got to keep the clock would stop regardless if they keep him short of the first down, but the running plays have worked, the rushing game and the running plays have worked so well for him. I think you stick to it.
How about a timeout instead?
Well, now they'll talk it over.
They have not had success kicking it tonight. A couple extra points gone awry, one with a bad snap. A 39-yard field goal try, long enough, but was wide. You could opt for a field goal, though I'm not sure you gain a whole lot score-wise doing that.
I think you gotta make the play for the first down. You gotta it's 4th and 9. You gotta go for it. They may put it in the air here. It would be something we haven't seen. Maybe a little bit of, maybe throw the center defense off guard because we just haven't seen them throw the ball much. But tonight, we talked about Excelsior Springs being an offense that'll run the ball 80% of the time. Tonight, it's probably been 98% of the time they've run the ball, but they haven't needed to throw the ball. There's been no need for them to throw the ball, especially to sustain drives as long as this one has lasted.
To repeat, their only 3 pass attempts of the night were outside the 20-yard line in the final 20 seconds of the first half when, because of time, they had to throw to the end zone, and one was a halfback pass. Their ground game has owned the night. And even if they don't score here, this drive is a mega success.
Oh, with the amount of time you've taken off, I mean, you've almost made a comeback near impossible at the high school level.
That said, if center can get a stop here, they'll get some momentum and be right back in this game.
And the mighty Mo is always a big thing.
4th and goal from the 9. Tight formation. Hall drops the snap, picks it up, and only gets a couple yards. So center does indeed get that stop.
And who makes the stop but the guy we've called all night for center, Nosa Ohanmu. right there, Johnny on the spot after that busted or that fumbled snap, right there to keep Hall short of the first down.
Yet Excelsior Springs possesses the ball for nearly 16 minutes and eats up 90 yards on the field and gets 0 points on it.
But as you've said multiple times, just taking that much time off the clock, you got to look at that drive as a success.
Here's a look at that 4th down play again as Hall drops the snap. Now back to live action in center. Needing a couple scores. Gets a nice chunk on the first play, 7 yards out to the 14. They're going to be in a hurry now offensively, presumably.
Yeah, this is where you hope the offensive line has gotten plenty of wind because you got to move fast here or else you're going to run out of time.
Well, Hanmu trying to break free near the first down marker. The other thing, hit a couple big plays maybe. Ohanmu busted an 80-yard run for their touchdown earlier.
We continue to run that jet sweep. We haven't seen them give the ball to the jet very often. They need to get out on that edge and see if they can't break something here. They're going to run out of time if they continue to just move the ball in chunks of 3 and 4 yards.
Vic continues to work from the pistol. Throwing right side, complete. Near a first down. Good run after the catch.
Vic with a great pass there, had a defender in his face, jumped right off the line of the scrimmage, got his hands up, and Vic was able to get that pass around the defender to make the completion.
Armand Russell with the grab and run after the catch. Put it up again, a little shoulder fake this time. Now Vic's going to tuck it. Good decision. First down, plenty more. He's across midfield and still going. Joseph Vic all the way for the touchdown. There's the big play for the Yellow Jackets.
You know, Vic did a great job, had the shoulder fake, watched the pocket break down, was able to scramble to his left, and then saw daylight. And, 50 yards down the field, you see the center guys with their hands up, knowing nobody's going to catch Vic.
He didn't look to run that immediately. But when he did, he showed some serious speed. 72 yards on the touchdown run.
Had to make them think that they was going to win. Come on, score another one. I'm going to need an
So they'll go for 2. They'll put it on the right hash. Big play here to try to cut it to a 3-point game. And a nice counter look, and walking it in is Marquand Dortch.
Great misdirection there by the center offense. You saw everybody going to the left. You saw the jet. You saw the option. Everything left, and then they come right back to the right with Marquand Dortch, who could have walked in. The old expression, drive a truck through a hole that size.
Oh, a 3-point game just like that after Excelsior Springs had the ball for halfway to tomorrow. Joseph Vic, the quarterback, goes 72 yards, tuck it and run. Dortch with the 2-point conversion. We've got a 3-point game, Andy, 18-15. But with under 6 minutes to go, just 5:52 on the clock, you almost have to onside kick here, right? If you kick it deep and give the ball back to him, you might not get it back.
Yeah, you almost have to, because you can't, with the amount of time that they came off, that Excelsior Springs was able to take off the clock on that one. You can't give them the ball back and expect to stop them 3 and out. You haven't stopped them 3 and out, but maybe once tonight. I think you got to look for the onside kick.
One of the most incredible drives you can imagine. Nearly 16 minutes off the clock, 90 yards, no points. And center comes right back with a big play, and this is a completely different looking game right now.
Changes the momentum big time.
And Excelsior Springs has 10 players, Andy, up close to that 50-yard line, anticipating a potential onside kick.
You don't see it much in high school, but there is the opportunity to kind of pooch it over that second line of defenders with the speed that the athletes have.
They do pop it up. Tigers, though, grab it. They'll have it at the 28-yard line. Joseph Vick. You said Brian DeLong said he's a better thrower than runner. Well, he looked like a pretty good runner on that touchdown scramble.
Well, you know, he set up to throw the ball, and then he had that great shoulder fake, and then as the pocket broke down, he just saw the hole open to that left, gets out to the sideline, and nobody's going to catch him.
QB1, just a sophomore.
Lots of upside to him. You know, again, they're very high on him and his leadership ability. With 2 years left to go.
Bright future.
Exactly.
For a center program, 2-1 on this season, 10-2 a year ago.
Let's go, babe.
5 minutes, 45 seconds on that clock. Will Excelsior Springs keep the football the whole time? And a surprise to no one. Robinson gets it on first down, gain of 2.
Good stop up the middle. Chris Beatty right there at tackle. Big stop there on the first play.
If you wanted to guess how many times Amani Robinson has carried the football tonight, what would you say?
But the average is 20. I bet I'd say 29 to 30 so far.
He is at 24. He is at his jersey number right now. It feels like a lot more than that.
Feels like we've called his name a lot.
There go split backs this time. Hall's going to keep it. The two backs blocking for him. And he's got 4 yards. We do have a flag in the backfield.
Almost kind of a full house set there. So they had the two back split and then kind of a fullback in front who split out.
It's going to come back. Good news for the center Yellow Jackets.
That's kind of the stop that they need there. They got the stop, but then the penalty will push them back another 10 yards. How far do you have to push them back when if you get to fourth down, that the Tigers punt instead of go for it on fourth down?
Back to the 19-yard line, second and a country mile. It's really far for folks who don't know how far a country mile is. And I'll just give it to the fullback trying to get something, and he gets 2 yards.
Great stop by the interior defensive line of center. Coming up big when they need it. Now need to come up even bigger on a third and not quite a country mile.
16.
It's a little bit shorter than a country mile.
It is. They need the 37. That clock, though, continues to tick. We'll be under 4 minutes before they snap it. Hall checking the wristband.
Maybe changing the play here.
He's gone all the way at quarterback tonight. And a toss. Getting it out wide. Tanner Phillips, who had a couple good runs early in the game, and this time brought down for a loss of 1. K.D. Williams gets to him.
Great play by the center defense. K.D. Williams is a guy that they're also very high on. He's a sophomore, a small kid. This is one of the guys that Coach DeLong said has a heart of a champion. He said he's tried to replace him several times with different players in practice. He always has people competing for that job, and he just can't be beat. Super competitive, make a great stop on a huge third down play there.
And the smallest guy on the field for both teams whenever he's out there.
He's one that you look at, if you see them in person, he is much smaller physically than everybody else. Coach DeLong said maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. The huddle here on 4th and 16 makes you wonder: are they gonna punt, or maybe they're talking about what do you talk about here? Do you talk about the coverage on the punt, or are you devising a play to come up with? It seems dangerous this deep in their territory.
It does get the clock stopped, which is good news for center. We've not seen a punt tonight from Excelsior Springs. If you're center, you need to be ready for anything, but it is 4th and 16. You would think the odds of going for it are fairly low. And a traditional punt formation upcoming now for the Tigers.
Always makes you nervous not running this play at all, but then it's such an important point of the game.
Good snap, good kick.
Oh, my bad. I knew what he was talking about. But, yeah.
Center will have it in decent field position, needing 3 to tie or 6 to take the lead.
You know, I was talking
52 yards from the goal line.
I was talking about on that play, when you're long snapping is such a different skill set that if you haven't done it at all in the play, to ask a high school player to go out and do that with the pressure on, you know, it's a testament to that long snapper to be able to make a solid snap, and for the punter when the center basically brings the house trying to block that punt to get that punt off in all that pressure.
We don't have the official numbers, but I would guess Excelsior Springs has run at least 3 times as many plays tonight as Center. Yet here are the Yellow Jackets with a chance to tie it or take the lead in the final minutes of the game.
In time of possession, you know, that's one of the most useless stats, but we'll see what happens here.
Dortch, the man who had the 2-point conversion run a little bit ago, similar looking play, picks up 8 yards.
Center will move a little bit into that, or they should move a little bit into that hurry-up offense as we approach 3 minutes left in the game. Can't take up too much time in the huddle.
Dortch stays on the field.
There's the jet motion out of the pistol. Oh, busted play.
Vic trying to make something out of nothing.
Remember, you always want to keep the ball right there. So
Down at the 50, loss of 6. Timeout called by the Yellow Jackets. Big 3rd down and maybe subsequent 4th down coming up here. I guess that could have been worse, but it was definitely not what they had in mind.
Wasn't what they were looking for. That play made by Lance Bone, a sophomore from the Tigers. They're so high on him, Coach Fabian is. He said he may be one of the better defensive ends to ever play at Excelsior Springs in that entire length of that program. They said he's young, only a sophomore, has a lot to learn, but right now his raw talent has been so good. Great motor, superior hustle, as you saw in that play. It was a busted play, but still able to make the tackle in the backfield.
I'll credit Vic as well. Even though he couldn't get any yards, didn't try something that could have really turned it into a disaster. Fight to live another play here. 3rd and 8 from midfield, knowing you need some points on this possession. Slings it out right side, has a man right near the 1st down. Good job by the receiver to secure that. Armand Russell squeezed it before getting forward and got just enough. They'll move the chains.
Russell did a good job leaning forward, aware of where the 1st down marker was. Oh, they mark him just short.
Is he short? They might measure that.
Oh, no, maybe they did change it to a 1st down. No, they haven't moved the chains.
The
now the
referee, the
referee's
white
signaling.
hat, is signaling 1st down. And there we go. Now they'll move him. Two and a half minutes to go. What a finish tonight here at Center High School. Hanmu. How much energy does he have left? Getting 4 yards.
You know, this brings in a possible game-tying field goal scenario. And their typical kicker is Braden Lewis, a senior soccer player who Coach DeLong has told me has battled some hamstring issues.
Vic throw to the near side, complete and into the end zone. Touchdown, Yellow Jackets. Forget the field goal. Go to the air, get the lead. Marquand Dortch.
Dortch has been the name we called. You know, we said a lot that they're very high on Vic's passing ability. Came through at a huge moment to complete that and give Center the lead with under 2 minutes to play.
So now they'll try the extra point, and as you mentioned, it's not Lewis. It's Harold Safak kicking. He connected on an extra point earlier and does so again, and that makes it a 4-point game.
And that extra point is huge for a guy that's not normally a kicker because, as you said, it makes it a 4-point game, which now means Excelsior Springs has to take it all the way down the field and score the touchdown. They can't kick a field goal to tie.
A team that has attempted only 3 passes all night, all in the waning seconds of the first half, now is going to have to go almost the length of the field in under 2 minutes.
And if you're the center defense, the thing you got to do here is just keep everything in front of you. You know, they say that on pass plays, but with the big play running ability that we've seen from Excelsior Springs, you still just got to you got to read your keys. You got to keep everybody in front of you. Watch out for the long pass. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him throw the ball here with so little time. But if you can read your keys on that option, you've got a good chance to stop this and hold on for the win.
38 yards on that touchdown pass from Vic to Dortch. And what looked like Excelsior Springs might waltz into the night with a win. Center has come roaring back, 2 touchdowns in the last basically 4 minutes of game time to take the lead. Roller ball kick up the middle. Tigers cover it at the 25.
They got the advantage there that the receiver just took a knee on that. Those roller ball kicks, they're great, but what they do sometimes is they cause the kicking team to get out of their lanes and opens up for the receiving team to run that ball back and get closer to midfield. Luckily, the return man there just fell on the ball.
They were having trouble picking it up. Sometimes better to just not use any time and go down.
Well, if it's a lineman, you know, you're always taught as a lineman, don't you dare pick up that ball and run. You just fall on it. It's no fair.
What does Dacey Hall have in the bag of tricks? He'll sprint out and try to have him throw it. Throwing short, off target, incomplete.
Didn't fully turn his shoulders towards the receiver as he threw it. And throwing on the run is so hard for anybody to do, let alone a high school quarterback. But you really got to get those shoulders square as you make that throw. Try and plant a foot if you can. He just wasn't able to do that on that little sprint out pass.
"76 yards what the Tigers need here. Remember that nearly 16-minute, 90-yard drive where they got no points? And we said it was great? Sometimes in the final evaluation, what looked good initially isn't. Quick pass, incomplete.
No, so Hanmu going to get a pass defense in the stat category there. Got his hand on the ball. With no receiver near him, able to knock it down.
Trying to get it to Dayton Love off the slot. You see the strategy has dramatically shifted for Excelsior Springs. 2 plays, 2 passes.
It just doesn't bode well for their offense from what we've seen so far. You know, their bread and butter has been run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And they've done such a good job with that, that when your quarterback only has, well, this is, I think, 5 or 6 pass attempts in a game, he's just not as comfortable in the pocket in the big moments.
3 receivers here. He's going to tuck it and run this time. He's pretty comfortable doing that and takes a big hit after a gain of 8. Clock rolls. Excelsior Springs needs a couple more yards.
Jaden Latham made the big stick on that play. Came up from his cornerback position. Following that receiver, looking for the pass, able to turn his head and get back upfield to make the stop.
Mark Fabian's going to use a timeout. Game on the line right here. Excelsior Springs needs a couple yards to keep it going. And is that Hall that's laid out? Here's a look at the scramble by Hall. That pocket collapsed quickly, and then you mentioned the hit by Latham.
Yeah, just a good stick there by Latham, and then had help from his buddy Corey Bolin to get him by the legs.
And that does look like Hall on the ground. Chance Moreland in the background, the backup quarterback, getting loose.
You know, Coach Fabian told us ahead of this game that they play a lot of they play a two quarterback system quite a bit. We haven't seen Moreland if at all tonight. And so interesting turn of events.
Biggest snap of the night. The sophomore will be in there. He's getting a couple from the center. Clay Howerton. All looks to be all right. Good sign there. Hall to the sidelines. Chance Moreland in at quarterback on 4th and 2. And the toss play. First down, plenty more. Just across midfield. Tigers are still alive. They got it to senior Tanner Phillips. They need 49 more yards.
You know, you need Moreland to come in and just be calm and collected. He makes a great pitch on that play, right into the breadbasket of the running back.
Under a minute, though. Time ticking. Go to Phillips again. And only getting a yard or two before he gets out of bounds. And, hard shot over the bench. Late flag as well.
That could be a questionable flag there. I don't know if they're gonna call a late hit there. He took a big spill over that bench. Hopefully he's okay, but I didn't see a push at the end of the play. That seemed past the out of bounds line.
Here's the final verdict.
15-yard add-on could be huge.
That'll move it inside the 35-yard line. Now you're getting to territory where you can throw it to the end zone if you need to.
We haven't seen, again, without seeing Moreland in the game at all, no real note of his throwing ability. We'll see if the Tigers keep it on the ground or go back to the air.
Likely prefer to save timeouts if they can. Rollout, pass is complete, down inside the 20.
Great job by Moreland to evade the pressure. Rolls out to his right, being chased by several center defenders and able to complete the pass.
And look at that, up on the ball quickly and spiking it to get that clock stopped. We hit the turbo button all of a sudden to get up on the line.
That's like that hurry up button.
We could not have asked for a better finish tonight. 30 seconds to go. 16 yards separating Excelsior Springs from the end zone. Center leading for the first time tonight. And the Yellow Jackets hang on.
Phillips split out. Look for him as a receiver.
Whistles. Couple flags, one coming in late. We may have a false start and then unnecessary roughness.
This call is going to be huge either way.
They need to make that calls plural. And you can see the referee talking to the center sideline. A false start on the offense. And then personal foul against the defense. It ends up being a net +5 for Excelsior Springs. They have it just outside the 10-yard line now. Keep an eye on that clock, though. Only 29 seconds.
Receiver split way wide out for the first time tonight.
Moreland still in at quarterback. They go to Robinson. He is pushed back after a couple yards. New quarterback in the game. That's a different mesh with that fullback. They have slowed it up a little bit. Now timeout called.
Amari and Heron Johnson made the stop for the Yellow Jackets on that play. Did a great job of just holding on, and that's all you can do against Robinson. He drives those legs so hard. Harry and Johnson holds on tight, waits for his buddies to show up to finally make that full tackle.
You can have short pass game here. They may need to look to the end zone. They get lined up, try to spread them wide and go to the fullback. Just a great job by the center defense to stay home.
And that's one of those things. Harry and Johnson stayed home, exactly. Didn't bite either way, saw the handoff right there and able to make the tackle.
Well, it might be pass or nothing right now based on time, downs, and the timeout situation.
Yeah, and here it's almost you got to go towards the end zone. Well, I guess you can make a first down and the clock will stop when they move the chains. But if you're stopped short, then it's extreme hurry up to get to the line. And you can't spike it because it'll be fourth down if you don't pick it up.
Time-wise, they're looking at 2, best case 3 plays, whatever down it is, which it happens to be third down. And a field goal does no good. It's touchdown or bust here for the Tigers. Little reverse action. Cut inside by Salisbury. Lost the football as he went down. They rule him down. Is it a first down?
They're going to stop the clock here.
They may measure this. It is very close.
And so if it's not a first down, you've got to tell your offense, if they're going to measure it, you've got to tell your offense, get on the ball, be ready to run a play. The second they blow the whistle to start that play, because that clock will be rolling. This puts a lot of pressure on the chain gang as well. First measurement of the game could be one of the biggest deciding factors.
It only comes with 8 seconds left. Here's a look at it. A little misdirection.
That was that same play that Phillips scored on, or sorry, I'm sorry, Salisbury scored on back in the second quarter.
So here's the measurement. First down.
Great camera work by the student crew. Getting us right in the action on that critical measurement. So that'll stop the clock. Now you have time to get set.
Do you spike it and try to run 2 plays?
Well, you don't have to spike it because the clock won't, because of the first down.
But when they wind it will roll.
That's true.
I would spike it to get myself a chance at 2 plays. But they're ready to go, so they might not need to spike it. But you almost have to throw it to the end zone here.
Yeah, you have to go to the end zone. Anything short, you're almost not going to have time to get up there. You might be able to spike it with 1 second left, but you got to be able to get the ball back to the referee in time for them to.
And it's still the backup quarterback, Chance Moreland, in there, leading this last-minute drive down the field. Came in on a 4th down, replacing the injured starter. Back at about midfield.
You could have asked for a better performance from your number 2 quarterback than to give your team a chance when you're down.
Clock rolls. Fullback up the middle, short, and time expires. Center wins it, 22-18. They tried to go surprise with their bread and butter, the fullback.
You know, you like the call from the perspective of it's worked all night and it's what has really set up the offense. You don't like the call because of what happens there. You have 8-9 seconds left, 8 seconds by the time they snap the ball. There's just not time to run another play if he's short.
We can analyze the decision all day long. Robinson's had huge runs tonight. And with everybody in the building thinking pass, they just give it to the fullback. Actually, may have been Moreland keeping it behind Robinson. Either way, they both went down in a heap at the 3-yard line. And what a comeback by the center Yellow Jackets.
And you got to give the credit to the center defense on that one as well. After being on the field for so long on that previous drive, and the center offense scoring so quickly, they didn't get very much time to rest. And then to be able to make a fourth quarter final drive stand like that, hats off to the center defense.
What a ball game tonight. Both sides played well. One side's a lot happier than the other. It's going to be a long bus ride up north to Excelsior Springs, but a great high school football game here tonight.
You couldn't ask for anything better. A comeback win from center after the defensive stand that they had to make at the end with a backup quarterback in there, all the drama you could ask for in a game.
Joseph Vick leads the late comeback, long touchdown run and a touchdown pass as center comes back to win it 22-18 over Excelsior Springs. For Andy Pollard and our Center High School student crew led by LTN Global's Trevor Hayes, I'm Stephen Davis. Thanks for joining us for high school football tonight on ESPN3.
Good night. Good night. Lost my voice.
Yes. Ow.
Yep. But it's still live.